Hello viewers, today we will be discussing about the remaining topics of the surface coating. In the previous lecture, we discussed about organic coatings. Most important type of organic coatings we discussed was paint. Now in this lecture, we will move ahead and we will discuss about varnishes, enamels, which are popularly known as plastic paints, lacquers, emulsifying agents which are added to emulsions. We will also discuss about mechanism of film formation. We will compare dyes with pigments, wax polishing. We will discuss about special paints also like heat retardant paints, fire retardant paints, and finally risk parameters in the coatings. To start with varnishes. Varnish is primarily used as a protective and or decorative coating of wood. Here you can see it gives hard, transparent, glossy, lustrous and durable finish to any wood surface. Varnish can be of two types, oil varnish and spirit varnish. Oil varnishes are also known as oleoresinous varnish. It is basically a homogeneous solution of one or more natural or synthetic resin in a drying oil and a volatile solvent. So, here you can see resins, drying oil and volatile solvent all are present. The presence of oil reduces the natural brittleness of the pure resin film. This type of varnish dries up by the evaporation of the volatile solvent followed by oxidation and polymerization of the drying oil. Here you can see this is the base material which has to be painted by the use of varnish. Now wet film of oleoresinous varnish containing oil, resin and thinner, it is being applied on the surface. Now after some time evaporation of thinner will take place and film of oil together with resin will be formed, but it has to be dried and it will be completely dried by oxidation and polymerization of oil, and finally it will give a lustrous, glossy and dry film. Because of the drying process taking a long time, it will take comparatively longer period, but the film produced is hard, quite lustrous and durable. A common example for the oil varnish is classic varnish, which is based on the use of polyurethane. Now coming to the second type of spirit varnish. It contains resin dissolved in completely volatile solvent. So here you can see oil is absent. So it will dry rapidly, but it will leave a brittle film. Therefore, it will have a tendency to crack or peel off. This film is easily affected by weathering. Solution of shellac in alcohol is the important example of spirit varnish. This is used for polishing of wooden furniture. Now, what are the important constituents of a varnish? As we know, resin. Among the natural resins, shellac, rosin, copal, and damer, etc. have been used. Among the synthetic resins, phenol formaldehyde, urea formaldehyde, etc. are being used. Resin in varnish provides an element of hardening which is resistant to weathering also, and it will provide durability and resistance to chemical action, and of course it will make it waterproof also. Next component of the varnish is the drying oil. Linseed oil, dehydrated castor oil, soybean oil and fish oil. These are commonly being used for this purpose, and they dry up by oxidation and polymerization, giving a thin film over the surface. Solvents or thinners, they are added to reduce the viscosity and increase the covering area of the varnish. Kerosene, turpentine oil and acetone, these are commonly being used. Anti-skinning agent, these are used to prevent gelling of the varnish. Tertiary amyl phenol is an important example to be used as anti-skinning agent. Now, applications of the varnishes. They provide protection against corrosion, which is one of the most important requirement for any surface coating. They are used as a brightening coat to paint any surface. They improve the appearance and intensify the ornamental grains of wooden surfaces. So, it will make that substance, any furniture, more attractive. Next is enamels. Enamels are also called plastic paints. They are basically intimate dispersion of pigments in a varnish. Here you can see from this picture the beauty of the colors of enamels. They give lustrous, hard and glossy finish. Enamels form film primarily by evaporation of solvent. Evaporation of solvent, which is very easily takes place because of the presence of volatile organic content, that is VOC. Properties of the enamels vary widely depending largely on the nature of the vehicle. Vehicle means, as we have already learnt in the last episode, it's about oil and resin. Drying of the enamels, it may occur either at room temperature by oxidation followed by polymerization, or it may be brought about at elevated temperature either in the presence or in the absence of oxygen. Now, coming to the constituents of the enamels. Pigments, they are first of all most important component to any surface coating. They are usually white, soft and fine in texture. Commonly used pigments are titanium dioxide and calcium sulfate mixtures. So, that was about the white enamels. When colored pigments are used, enamels are called japans. Black japans prepared by dissolving asphalt in linseed oil plus turpentine or spirit are very useful for painting metallic surfaces like bicycles, bedsteads and electrical devices. These are very resistant to corrosion and chemicals. Now, coming to the next component, vehicle. It may be pure resin or oleoresinous. Oleoresinous means oil plus resin. Natural resin and synthetic resins, both can be used. In oleoresinous vehicles, synthetic resins like phenol aldehyde plus oil like linseed oil or soybean oil or fish oil. Dryads, they are commonly used in case of oleoresinous enamels. The commonly used dryads are resinates and oleates of cobalt, manganese and zinc. Turpentine oil or acetone, they are also used as thinner. Now, how enamels are applied on any surface? Here we can see, first of all, that surface should be cleaned and it should be dust free and dry also. The woodwork to be painted should be dry. All evenness should be smooth. Before painting any woodwork, primer coat should be applied to get better results. Now coming to the next type of surface coating, lacquers. A lacquer is a colloidal dispersion of solution of a cellulose derivative, resin and plasticizer in solvent and diluent. So here we can see all these are present in the lacquer. Lacquer dries in air mainly by evaporation of solvent, yielding a transparent, hard and waterproof film. Here we can see the beauty of any substance painted by the lacquer. Its surface is quite shiny also. Now, constituents of the lacquer. Cellulose derivatives like cellulose nitrate, cellulose acetate, ethyl cellulose, cellulose acetobutyrate. These provide waterproofness, hardness and durability to the finish. Normally, phenol-aldehyde, alkyd, copal, damer and ethergrum, these are the resins which are being applied. These resins increase the solid contents so that thickness of the film is increased. They are applied for the retention of the original gloss of the lacquer. They provide adhesive power also and make it water resistant. Plasticizers like castor oil, raw or blown, soybean oil, triglycerol phosphate, dibutyl phthalate, etc. are added. They basically reduce brittleness of the film formed. They improved its adherence and also improved ductility and flexibility of the film. Ethyl acetate, butyl acetate, ethyl acetate and methyl acetate, methyl ketone, these solvents are applied. Their function is to dissolve the film forming substance, that is cellulose derivatives and resins. Diluents which are added in the lacquer are toluol, benzol, solvent naphtha, petroleum naphtha, etc. These are added to reduce the viscosity or consistency, and of course they also reduce the cost. Applications of the lacquer. They are mainly applied in the interior decoration, in the paint, in the woodwork. They are also applied as a finishing coat in any automobile. They are also applied for coating of the cotton fabric which is used in preparing artificial leather. Next topic is emulsifying agent. Substances soluble in both fat and water, so that fat is uniformly dispersed in water, or vice versa, means water is uniformly dispersed in fat. They will form together an emulsion. Few common example: agar, albumin, glycerol, propylene glycol and many other ionic substances also, they fall under the category of emulsifying agent. Now here we can better understand. Here we can see water is the continuous phase and oil is being the dispersed phase. So, this is the emulsion of oil dispersed in the water. Here this is the reverse case, water being dispersed in the oil. Now emulsion paints. Emulsion paints is essentially a dispersion of rubber-like resin in water. These paints can readily be thinned or diluted with water. When an emulsion paint is applied to any surface, water will evaporate and then emulsion will break down and oleoresinous particles coalesce to form a continuous, homogeneous and clear film. Emulsion paints are used for painting of ceilings and walls in the buildings as a cost-effective option. Emulsion paint coatings are useful in coating porous or wet surfaces because they have less penetrating power than solvent containing coatings. So, surface has to be wet prior to the application of emulsion. Emulsion coats are less odorous, non-inflammable, so safe also, quick drying and easier to apply than ordinary paints or lacquers. They are less water resistant because of the presence of residual emulsifying agent. They come in the variety of finishes: matte finish, soft sheen and silk finish. 3 types are available in the emulsion paints. Matte being a flat finish, silk as the name suggests will be the shiny, and soft sheen lies between these two qualities. Now constituents of the emulsion paints. Rubber-like resins used are semi-solid polystyrene, polyvinyl acetate, alkyd resin, ether gum. These are used as resin. Now oleoresinous material, oils are used. Normally linseed oil is the very common. Pigments commonly used are mica and water dispersing like titanium dioxide. Extenders which are commonly used are diatomaceous clay, silica and magnesium silicate. Emulsifying agents, they are very important because without their presence emulsion will not be formed. Emulsifying agents are used for the dispersion of rubber-like materials. They are complex phosphates like tetrasodium phosphate. Many organic type pigments, we add dioctyl sodium sulfosuccinate or sodium lauryl sulfate. Stabilizers which are used for the stability of the emulsion paints are proteins and many other compounds like dextrins, these are carbohydrates, starch, water soluble gums, bentonite, casein, soya protein. Preservatives, they are also added to prevent the decomposition of any protein and to eliminate the growth of the fungus. Since we are adding protein as stabilizer, therefore preservatives are also has to be added. Important preservatives are mercury chloride, thymol and chlorothymol. Anti-foaming agents, they are added to check any excessive foam formation by the agitation of emulsion paints during their manufacture. Pine oil and kerosene, they are the important anti-foaming agents. Dryers, they are added to an emulsion paint, mainly oxidizable oils. For such type of emulsion paints, we use cobalt, manganese and zinc resinates or phthalates. Volatile material, mainly we use water and sometimes aqueous ammonia is also used. Now we will understand the mechanism of the film formation in the various type of lacquers, enamels, emulsions. Mainly, binder is the main component which is responsible for the formation of film. And film formation takes place via thermoplastic mechanism or sometimes by thermosetting mechanism. And at times combination of these two mechanisms also takes place. In the thermoplastic mechanism, simple cooling of binder, solvent evaporation followed by actual interpenetration of discrete particle takes place. So, here we can see main role is of solvent and binder. Most common example in this category are emulsion and nitrocellulose lacquers. Now, thermosetting mechanism. In this mechanism, curing takes place by polymerization and cross-linking. And for this mechanism, presence of drying oil is very important. Alkyd enamels, polyurethanes, they settle via thermosetting mechanism. Now, combination mechanism, here classic drying plus a curing reaction takes place. Plastisols made by blending PVC granule with a plasticizer, they dry by this mechanism. Volatile material, this is mainly water, and aqueous ammonia is also used in some cases. Now we will compare dyes with the pigments. As we know, both impart color. In the dyes, coloring matter is dissolved in liquid. However, in case of pigment, fine particles of coloring matter are suspended in liquid. So, here they are suspended, but in case of dye, they are dissolved. Pigments are insoluble in water and most of the solvents. Dyes are more vulnerable to light than pigment. So, dyes have poor color fastness as compared to pigments. Pigments require the help of a binder for gluing. Dyes are combustible while pigments are non-combustible substances. Most of the dyes are organic compounds, whereas most of the pigments are inorganic compounds. Wax polishing. It provides protective layer over an existing finish. So, this is used after we have coated the surface, and this polishing is very useful for wooden furniture having a coating of varnish, lacquer or shellac. Before applying the wax, surface is rubbed to remove the dust particles. Paste wax or finishing wax can be used. It should be left to dry for about 20 minutes and then buffed with a clean cloth to give a lustrous and beautiful sheen. Now, next topic is special paints. Luminescent paints. They contain luminophore pigments. Luminophore means which fluoresce under the influence of ultraviolet light. Such pigments absorb UV and emit radiations in the visible region of the spectrum. Luminophore pigments, they include sulfides of zinc, cadmium and titanium with a small amount of color modifiers like copper, silver, manganese and boron, and these color modifiers are called activators. It may be pointed out that daylight color of these pigments is somewhat different from the luminescent paint. Next is heat resistant paints. These are very important because they can withstand the very high temperatures, even up to red hot. They contain base of metallic powders like aluminium, zinc, tin, titania, chromia. Some heat resistant paints contain polyphenol silicones and such paints are also water repellents. Here is one example of the typical composition of heat resistant paint. Lamp black, graphite, black oxide of manganese and Japan gold zinc, turpentine oil and boiled linseed oil. They are mixed in the given ratio to get a heat resistant paint. Such type of paint is being used in the space. A paint suitable for space technology has been developed by the Space Agency of United States, that is NASA. These paints can withstand temperatures from minus 150 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. So, here we can see they can work in very high temperature range. They contain titanium oxide, water solution of an alkali metal silicate as vehicle and aluminum orthophosphate as wetting agent and water as thinner. These paints are used where temperature rises very high in the ovens, furnaces, oil stills, aircraft combustion chambers, diesel engine exhaust pipes and smokestacks. Next is fire retardant paints. As the name suggests, they will retard the fire. So, they contain the binders or other components which break down at high temperatures and then they will produce non-inflammable gases so that fire will be retarded. Non-inflammable gases like carbon dioxide, ammonia, water vapor, these are produced which serve to dilute the inflammable gases. These inflammable gases might be produced by the breakdown of other components of the paint. PVC, chlorinated rubber, alkyds, epoxides break down to give corresponding non-inflammable hydrogen halides. Urea formaldehyde resin gives ammonia. Carbonate pigments give carbon dioxide, while water is obtained from water based paint. So, here we can see the various example through which we are getting non-inflammable gases at high temperatures. So, they will protect the substance. Paints containing magnesium ammonium phosphate, calcium ammonium phosphate, zinc ammonium pyrophosphate or zinc ammonium tungstate. They yield at elevated temperature a glass like melt and this melt acts as a barrier between air and the inflammable substrate. Thus, they will hinder any combustion. Cement paints. They are mainly used for the exterior of buildings. Ingredients of the cement paint are white cement about 70%, hydrated lime, pigment, very fine sand, water repellent compound. Usually such paints of different colors are marketed in powder form. A popular name is Snow Sim. The powder is mixed with a suitable quantity of water to get a thin slurry, which is then applied on plastered brickwork, mainly for the exterior surfaces. For application on corrugated iron surfaces, it is mixed with boiled linseed oil and it provides waterproofing also. Distempers. Distempers are nothing but water paints. Some costlier brand of distempers are based on oil also. Distempers are basically most economical option. The ingredient of distempers are whiting or chalk powder which acts as a base. glue or casein which acts as a binder, coloring pigment if we want color, and water, it is added as a solvent or thinner. So, from the component of distemper we can understand very well is its economics. Oil paint, it is a type of slow drying paint that consists of particles of pigment suspended in a drying oil. Drying oil, commonly linseed oil, is used for this purpose. Thinner is used to improve its viscosity. Turpentine or white spirit and varnish, these are added to increase the glossiness of the dried oil paint film. Here we can see how the oil paint can change the entire outlook of a furniture. Oil paints have been used in Europe since 12th century. So, their use is very old. They were being used for the simple decoration earlier, and they become more and more common since the early 15th century. In the modern days, oil paints are in finishing and protection of wood in buildings and exposed metal structures also, like ships and bridges. Their hard wearing properties and luminous colors make it desirable for both interior as well as exterior. Natural or eco-friendly paint. It is very important to understand that nowadays more and more focus is being paid on the use of eco-friendly substances in any field. So, they should be biodegradable and of course free of petrochemical. They should meet requirement of the zero volatile organic component. They should be minimally processed, hence less energy intensive. They are made up of raw ingredients like clay, chalk, marbles and mineral pigments. They all are available in the nature. Common example of such paints are lime paint, milk paint, clay paint, and here use of ancient knowledge helps us a lot. So far we have learnt about various type of coatings, from the electroplating, electroless plating, chrome plating, then organic platings like paint, enamels, emulsions. So, finally, we should also learn that what are the risk parameters which have to be kept in mind before selecting or finalizing a particular coating. It should not contain any substance which have got explosive nature, oxidizing nature. No flammable component should be present. So, we have to avoid use of volatile organic components. It should not possess any toxic substance which can be harmful for human as well as for any living being. So, at the end we will revise whatever we have learned today. We discussed about various type of varnishes, enamels, lacquers, distempers, emulsions. Out of these, if we consider the cost effectiveness also, then distempers are the most economical option. Then comes the emulsion and enamels, which are also called plastic paint, are the high quality and of course costlier options. We also learnt about mechanism of film formation, thermoplastic mechanism and thermosetting mechanism. We also compared dyes and pigments, their solubility and other characteristics. We also discussed about special paints like cement paints, heat resistant paints and fire retardant paints. We also learnt about natural or eco-friendly paints, and finally the risk parameters which have to be kept in mind. In the previous episodes of the surface coatings, first of all we learnt about the objective of the coatings and then their classification. In the classification we learnt about various type of coatings like electroplating, electroless plating, then vapor deposition techniques, and then of course the organic coatings. In the organic coatings we learnt about paint, enamels, emulsions and many more. Hope after that much study of the surface coatings you will be better able to understand the surface coatings in details.